So a quick disclaimer, I didn't write this talk, ChatGPT did. Well, I just asked it very nicely. I believe that's what prompt engineering is, right? Let's look at the table of contents. So we'll start off with generative AI, defining generative AI. We'll also take a step back to answer what exactly is AI, right? AI, machine learning, deep learning, all of those kind of terminologies. We take a look at the origin story. So every villain, every hero would have an origin story, right? With the advancement of AI, we never really know whether it will be a villain or a hero. But neither ways, we'll look at the origin story. What exactly is prompt engineering? So this is the meaty stuff, right? We try to define it. We look at some prompt strategies, and then finally we'll end with some best practices. Okay. So generative AI. Uh, let's take a step back and answer what exactly is AI or artificial intelligence. Well, it's a very broad term, which kind of is into anything, any system or any machine that kind of mimics human behavior. That field of study or that research is basically called artificial intelligence, right? Second is machine learning. It's a subset of AI wherein we throw a lot of data points to a particular system or a machine, and then it can identify patterns within it and kind of come up with predictions. So, for example, if for a given house, I tell what is the proximity for a nearest hospital or a school or the nearest metro station or the square foot area of it, and it kind of the system can identify all these data points, learn from it, and kind of spit out the price of a house, right? Those statistical models or machine learning models are basically what encompass between within this machine learning term. Next up is neural networks. Neural networks is a type of machine learning algorithm where systems mimic the functioning of the brain. So the complex brain, right, with all those synapses and neurons and all. When these algorithms start to mimic that structure of the brain, that is where neural networks come into play. Deep learning is just a fancy word of saying a very dense and complex neural network. So when there are a lot of different layers added within that neural network, that is where deep learning comes into play. So it has multiple layers to learn and extract features from data. And finally, there comes generative AI, the new kid in the town, right? So it's a subset of AI which focuses on generating novel data. So data that has not been seen ever in the world, right? But it learns from all the data it's been fed to, but completely generates something new. It could be text, it could be audio, it could be video, whatever it could be. Like it could be multimodal. So anything of that sort, but something that is generated altogether for the first time. A few examples, these logos you might have seen. This is for OpenAI, this is for Gemini, this is for Claude, which is a model by Anthropic. This is Midjourney, which is a text to image model. This is Perplexity. This is Grok by Elon Musk's XAI company. And this is finally GitHub Copilot. Okay. Now let's look at the origin story. So we start off with 1950s, back in the days where it was a rule-based NLP, an if-else hell, right? Programmers used to sit and code all these responses manually, right? Let's just say you say hi, it'll respond back with another hi. You say, how are you? It'll say, I'm fine. How are you? So those kind of an if else kind of a hell, right? It's not really intelligent per se, because as in when you throw something out of the syllabus, uh, it all goes down the drain, right? And that's where gradually it evolved to the late 1990s or the early 2000s, where machine learning or statistical models came into play, right? Like I said, right, you throw in a few data points, it learns from it, it understands patterns and starts predicting. So it could be like linear regression, logistic regression, classification, all those kind of different stuff. 2017 is where a huge thing happens. So there is this research paper called Attention is All You Need that comes out in the open, introducing the architecture of transformers. So all your new age models, right, at the back end, the architecture of it is called transformers. I'm not going to very detail. We'll probably create a separate video for that. But this is where the things change. The game changes altogether, right? And then 2018 or onwards, what's happening going on around, right? All these different models that come out every month, every week, or even every day, right? In all modalities, billions of parameters, all those kind of stuff. The origin story and how did we end up here? So what is prompt engineering? To define it, it's the process of designing high quality prompts that guide LLMs to produce accurate outputs. So let's just say you have high quality inputs. There are LLMs which process it, and then there are outputs, high quality outputs, right? The process of creating these high quality inputs is called prompt engineering. I mean, to explain it very simply, it's the art of explaining what you want exactly, right? Just telling the LLM what exactly do you want. So, for example, if I said, write me a short email to my boss, and then if your prompt engineering skills are really good, the LLM understands the intent and the context, and then it'll give me, it wrote me a resignation letter, right? So that's what I wanted. That was going in my head, for example. Uh, so that's a joke over there. Uh, how exactly I prompt engineer this talk? So there are 5 aspects to any prompt. Okay. Starting off with the task. So what exactly do you want the LLM to do, right? For example, in my case, I said create a detailed, well-structured content for a session on prompt engineering to about 60 students online. So that's the task that I've given LLM, right? Now, second is giving it some background and understanding of how exactly this talk should be. And that's the context, right? So what I've said is it's an introductory session. So no high level concepts and everything very basic. It should be in a fun tone so that everybody is interested, and it should be 1 hour long. So that's the context I've given it. Now, next, if I want to give it some more inferences or references, for example, right? That's where I bring in a lot of research papers, white papers, blogs, online courses, cheat sheets, and my late night anxiety. So I've thrown all of it to this LLM model as well, so that it can take references, it can include all those bits and pieces into the answer that it's trying to generate. Fourth is evaluate. Now, what's the LLM has given of its answer, right? You have to evaluate. Did that sound smart, or was that just sarcastic? So that is where you have to then understand what exactly has the output come out to be, if that is according to what you planned it out to be. And then finally you iterate, right? You change the temperature. Now, temperature is a little more technical, but basically that deals with the randomness of the answer that has come out, right? For example, if the LLM model is giving out answers in the way how Modi ji talks, let's just say. So if you keep the temperature very low, like just the temperature is between 0 to 100, if you keep it at 10, the next time it answers, it will similarly talk and frame the answer in the way he talks, right? But let's just say you increase it to 90. So the randomness increases, right? So the next answer might be in somebody else, let's just say Rahul Gandhi's tone of writing. Uh, Iterate, you add memes, you remove Shakespeare language if there is any, and then you can kind of continue to evaluate and iterate, right? So these are the 5 aspects of how to structure a really good prompt. Okay, let's look at a prompt engineering example. So another two more concepts that I would like to bring in is one is persona and one is format. Both of these terms are very self-explanatory, but to also give you some context with respect to this example, the line starts with I am a product designer and a headphones brand, right? So this is basically the persona that you're giving this prompt. So basically, I am a product designer from a brand like, let's just say, Boat, right? Now coming to the context. I'm putting together a presentation for my team. What all new features should be included in the next product line, and in just giving us more detail, right? The presentation includes findings from market research on features that 18 to 34 customers want their headphones to have. It should have new colors, control playback with head movement, noise cancellation capabilities, and all of those things, right? Now comes to the task. Now, how should I structure my presentation? Now, this is basically the task that is given to the LLM. So this is the output that I want, a structure to my presentation, right? And finally, the format. So if you really want your LLM outputs to be in specific format, it is best to give out and explicitly mention that, right? So here I've written list each slide's topic with its key points and visuals. So yeah, so this will basically give you in that structured way, right? The topic, key points, and some visuals in the next topic, and so on and so forth. Okay, now let's look at a demo. So I'm pretty hungry because it's too late at night right now. So let me quickly switch over to ChatGPT. So it's pretty late and I'm hungry, right? So let's just type that in. I'm hungry. So what exactly is this into that prompt engineering framework? This is basically the context, right? Let me just give it a task. So suggest me items to order. Okay, so this is basically the task. Now let me type something like I was preparing for a session on prompt engineering, which is why I did not cook. Now, what exactly is this according to the framework? Well, actually, this is none of it, right? This is just extra information that we have given to the LLM, which doesn't really add anything or add any value to the LLM's processing. So ideally, we should keep our prompts very crisp and we should just get away with it. So this is not required. So next, well, I'm vegetarian. I like eating not Indian food. Okay, this is some more context. Now let me give it an inference, right? So let me say I like eating at this restaurant called Punjab Grill. So this is reference. So what ChatGPT will do at the back end is probably go up in the internet or look at the menu card of this particular restaurant and then derive insights from it, right? Whatever North Indian cuisine does this particular place have, we'll just start recommending things from there itself. Okay, so it's dinner time. Okay, that's I think my last piece of context. Now let me send it away. So yeah, it is searching the web. It did do a little bit of a search, and then it has suggested things like veg kebab later, paneer tikka, multani, dahi kebab, a lot of things. My mouth is already watering, so I'll just get ahead with it. I'll probably now reiterate or evaluate and then iterate, right? So I'll say suggest paneer dishes. So that's my iteration, right? The fifth stage of it. So yeah, paneer tikka, paneer malai tikka, and whatnot, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's look at prompt strategies now. We'll be talking about 9 prompt strategies in this particular video. We'll start off with zero shot. So zero shot is like you basically give it a task, right? Do this task for me. That's all. No examples, no references, nothing at all. You just directly give it some context and then just ask to do a task. We'll be covering some examples in the video, so it will be more clear to you. Second is one shot, where you provide one example to it and then just ask it to frame its answers according to that particular example. We have few shot, wherein you provide 3 or more examples, right? And then accordingly, it can pick and choose which example to follow for that particular task that it has been given. This is best in the case of customer service, right? Where you have one neutral response, one positive response, and one negative response. So according to the examples that you share, it can choose based on which example type should I respond to. Okay. Let's write some examples. So zero shot is like, I'd say, help me prepare a 1 hour session on prompt engineering, provide some topics. One shot is like, okay, here's an example. Prompt is help me prepare for a talk on cloud computing for beginners. The response is outline key concepts like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, use analogies, add demo and query. Now try this. So this is the task that I'm giving to you, right? After the example has been given out. So help me prepare a 1 hour session on prompt engineering. Few short, like I said, give a couple of examples. So first example is help me prepare a design thinking workshop for college students. Then I'm like, help me structure a Git 101, a technical session, right? For new interns. And then I probably give a couple of more examples and then give the actual task that I want. So based on if it's like a thought leadership, that could be one kind of a style, that could be technical, could be one kind of a style, and so on and so forth. Okay, so next up is a little more complicated set of strategies. The first one being chain of thought. Chain of thought, you're like, AI, just don't give me the answer, give me the reasoning behind it as well, right? So you're asking the AI to explain the reasoning step by step before finally reaching to the answer. Next is tree of thought. In tree of thought, basically, you brainstorm with the AI, right? You're saying, okay, give me 3 ways you can do this and explain in very detail. And then finally, there'll be 3 outputs, right? And then you be the judge. You pick out what is the best that works for you. Finally is self-consistency. So if you're just want the AI to take the call, right? So you're like multiple COTs. So basically you're like, okay, suggest me 3 ways, explain in detail. But then once you have the answers to the 3 ways, you pick and choose the best way out of it as well. So that's all. You're too lazy. You just want the AI to do everything. Let's look at the examples. So first one is chain of thought. You're like, let's think step by step. So who is the audience and what do they know? What is the goal of the session? What should the structure be and the flow be? What examples or demo should be included? Now using that thought process, prepare a session on short prompt engineering. So you're not just asking for an answer, but you're also asking it to go through the reasoning of it as well. Next is tree of thought. So you're like, suggest 3 different ways I could structure a 1 hour session on prompt engineering for students. For each, list the pros and cons. Again, not just the answer, but just go through the pros and cons with me as well. But give me 3 different ways. And then finally, self-consistency. Generate 3 detailed outlines for 1 hour session on prompt engineering. Each should take a different approach. One should be funny, one should be academic, and one should be interactive. And then suggest which one is suitable for college students and why. So again, 3 different routes, 3 different answers, and then you pick and choose which one suits best for college students. Okay, let's look at the next set of 3 prompting strategies. The first one being step back. So in step back, you actually take a step back and ask a broader question first. So let's just say a hypothetical high level question, right? What is a good technical talk? And then based on those concepts or ideologies, then you create on a specific topic, right? Next is React. React is like a helpful detective, right? You reason, you ask it to reason, and then once it has reasoned, and then you ask it to act on that. And finally is automatic. So this is for the lazy bums over there. When you ask AI itself to write a good prompt for you, and then you simply copy paste that into a different chat. Let's look at examples. First and foremost is step back. So first, my first prompt will be what makes a tech talk engaging for college students. I put that in, I get an answer, and then I'm like, now using those principles, create an engaging 1 hour session plan on prompt engineering. Next is React. React, I'm saying you are an expert session designer. First, reason through what a good prompt engineering class should include, and then act by creating an outline for 1 hour for college students. And then finally is automatic, right? Here's my goal. Prepare for a 1 hour session on prompt engineering. Can you generate the most effective prompt I could give an AI to help me prepare the session? So once you put this in, AI will give you that prompt, right? And then you can open a new chat and simply copy paste it out. Okay. So now coming to AI agent prompts. So you don't have to deal with all those complexities and technicalities of creating AI agents, but simply just using the app or your everyday ChatGPT or Gemini, right? You can simply turn that into an AI agent. How do you do that? You can take a screenshot of this particular prompting strategy, but this is something that Google suggests. And this is how it goes, right? You start off with a persona. So your persona I'm giving here is act like a successful personal trainer and talented nutritionist. Next up is context and scenario details. So I'm looking out to improve my overall fitness and adopt a healthier lifestyle. That is something every corporate fellow kind of promises themselves. Next is the conversation type. So ask me about my workout routines and meal planning and give me feedback, right? And then this is important, right? The stop phrase. So in every AI agentic kind of conversation, you need a stop phrase for the AI to basically stop, as in when you put in this particular phrase, right? And then act normally. So till that time, it'll act as that particular persona which you mentioned. So here I'm like, when I want the conversation to end, I'll write no pain, no gain. And then finally, at the end of the conversation, provide a summary of the advice you provided. Okay. Let's look at another example. So say you are in corporate and you're preparing for an interview, right? With a conversation with one of the clients. This is for that. So preparing for client meetings, right? If you want to do that one-on-one interview prep before you go into a meeting with one of the clients. So here, this is an example where you're meeting, let's just say, VP of advertisement of a big company, right? A big automobile company like BMW. And you want to consult with a creative agency to send out a new campaign or something like that. Right? And you are that the creative director of that agency. So let's look at the prompt now. So the persona is, you're my potential client, the VP of advertising at a world famous sports car company known for its innovation, performance, and engineering excellence. Then the context, you're considering hiring a creative agency to develop a new campaign that will attract younger generation of buyers. You are in a meeting with me, the design director of that creative agency that's pitching a new campaign for your company. And then the task, right? Act as my potential client. When I provide answers, critique the answers. So I need you to be critical. If needed, ask follow-up questions, continue the conversation until I give the stop rule, break. So this is again important. And that stop phrase is break here. Then give me a summary of the whole conversation, highlighting ways I can improve my pitch. I've included a brief about the car company provided with all the relevant details of this project. Use this information. So again, I've attached two documents as well, one about my company and the pitch that I'm going to put in, and one about the car company itself, right? So putting this, the AI agent, or your basically the chat that you were going up with, that will turn into the VP of advertising, and then you can have a conversation with that uh, chat or that AI agent where you want to, and then you can prepare for the meeting. Okay, let's look at an example, right? So career development coach. I think you and me, everybody in our journeys have definitely uh, been at places where you were looking for a job, or you were an intern at some place, wanted to get converted, and all those kind of things, right? So let's build a quick AI agent for ourselves. So I'll take the easy route. I'll take a screenshot of this, put it in the chat, so that using the multimodality, right, I can directly get the text, whatever is written over here. Okay, so I have opened a new chat. Let me just copy paste this. I'll say extract the text from this image. So yeah, what is my prompt exactly here? It's like act as a career development training simulator. So the task here is to help interns master interviewing skills and conduct conversations with potential managers. There are three types of conversations that you need to help out with. One is articulating strengths and skills, communicating professionally and confidently, and discussing future development goals. Once an intern has picked a conversation, provide details about the situation and the interview's roles, then act as the interviewer and allow the intern to participate as the employee. And then the stop phrase here is jazz hands, right? That's where you have to stop and then act normally. And then once you put in jazz hands, just provide a summary or the key takeaways from the simulation. Okay, let me just copy this and paste this in a new chat. And let's create the first agent here itself. Okay, so it has begun. Welcome to Career Development Simulator. It's asking me to pick one of the categories. Let me just copy paste this one. Yeah, excellent choice. Okay, so it has given me a scenario now, right? So you're an intern in a data analytics team in a large company. You've been assigned a role, blah, 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 blah. My role. So the chat has come up with this role of Priya, who's a project manager, approachable but quite busy. So appreciate interns, concise and solution oriented. Okay, so let's begin. So Priya is saying, hey, good morning. Thanks for setting up this quick chat. How's the progress on the customer trends project going so far? So let me reply. I'm not sure. I haven't been up to date. Something quite off, right? Let's see how it responds. Priya is like, okay, I appreciate your honesty. Let's dig in a bit. What part of the project has been unclear or challenging so far? I am not really sure about anything. I confused. Tasks are not clear. Okay. So I see. Thanks for letting me know. You see, tasks are clear. Do you mean the project goals themselves? You get the point, right? So let me just enter jazz hands to end this conversation. Yeah, so simulation completed. Key takeaways. Again, your honesty is good, but confidence matters too. You are open about being confused. It shows self-awareness, but in a real setting, that's far better than pretending to understand. But pair honesty with initiative. So yeah, I mean, it is giving out a few very good insights here. So yeah, I mean, I hope you get the point. Yeah. Let's go back to the slides. So now let's look at some best practices of writing prompts, right? First and foremost, keeping it very simple. Don't put content that is not really helping you or the LLM. Remove all extra jargon. So that's coming to the second point, which is be specific. Then provide good examples. So this is important. If you want your answers to be framed in a very specific structure in the output, provide a good example so that it can follow that particular format. Again, coming to the next point, which is define output format. Experiment with variations. Again, this is important because everybody can use these chatbots, right? But that's where you are bringing in your own perspective of experimenting with all those variations. And that's where you can come up with something that you can't really imagine, right? And then finally, understanding your model. So it is also important that to know which model works best for what kind of data, right? So let's just say ChatGPT works generally well for general reasoning. Claude can be used very well for some kind of coding tasks. You might want to switch to Mid-Journey for, let's just say, image processing, things like that, right? So be very watchful of what's there out in the market so that you know which model to pick for what purpose. So is prompt engineering still relevant? I mean, these models are becoming powerful day by day, right? I saw this joke in Reddit which said quietly feeds into context window, right? So this entire these research papers and blogs and posts and everything that teach about good prompts, if you put that in the context window itself, then whatever you write as a prompt doesn't really matter, right? Because your prompt will get engineered by the model itself. That's a funny take to it, and models are also getting very, very good in understanding the nuances and then coming up with the answers that you want. That's where I think these tools are the same that you and I have, right? Everybody has, but there are some kind of soft skills that kind of will make or break things for you. So if person A is doing better than person B, that's all because how exactly they're making use of the model is somewhat different, right? Because the model itself might be the same at everywhere. So that's where some non-technical skills or soft skills are very, very important, right? First and foremost is language mastery. So again, a lot of these, the better models are out there in English primarily. That is where, or any model that you use, even if it's using some regional language, right? You should be really good in your the way you articulate things and write things and your mastery on your language, right? Because that will make sure the LLM knows what exactly you're trying to convey. Second is empathy and communication. Again, it's important for even from the customer's lens to look at things and then understand and then ask or prompt these models so that solutions could be reached at a faster pace. Domain knowledge, again, until unless you know what to ask, then only you can ask, right? So it's always good to have an understanding. It's much needed to have an understanding actually of what exactly you're trying to prompt the model and get insights from. Next is critical thinking. Again, you need to know what you're solving for and then quickly understand what to prompt so that you can get hold of the answers quickly. Ethics and bias awareness. Again, everybody knows, right? These models are trained on real world data, which would include a lot of biases. So as a prompt engineer or as somebody as using these models, you should be aware how to navigate those biases when you are trying to uh, talk with these models and get outputs from them. And then finally, most importantly, creativity, right? How creative you are as an individual will dictate how exactly these models are responding to you. So be as creative as you can so that these models are able to give out the best out of knowledge for you. Okay, so finally, did I write this talk or did the prompt do it? Well, prompt engineering is the new Googling, right? How exactly I ask stuff to LLMs or the chat model is the way it's going to respond to me. So the better you ask, the smarter your AI becomes and the better responses that you get. Finally, coming to some resources. So this is a really good research paper that Google has published. It's basically prompt engineering by author Yi Woonstra, which I have relied a lot upon while creating this content. And then also this another research paper called Unleashing the Potential of Prompt Engineering for Large Language Models. This is also really nice. I went through it and there are a lot of really good insights to pick out from this one. So yeah, that's all. Thank you for joining